2, and 1. Welcome to 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you, and we are joined by the head football coach of the Mercer Bears, Drew Cronic, who joins us here on 3 and Out. Coach, welcome. College football is back. It's got to be a good feeling for you and your team to have at least a week under your belt already.
It does. It kind of feels cool to play football in the fall, you know. We played 8 games in the spring. We played 3 in the fall last year, but it just kind of feels good to be, have some normalcy and play it in the fall. And we're still battling COVID. There's still that out there, but it does feel pretty cool to have an August camp and have a game and all that. So we're excited.
Coach, to those freshmen that came in last year that really don't know what it's like to have a fall camp, they kind of came in and kind of had to learn the ropes. How much have you learned about those guys, understanding that, look, we understand that pandemic was different for everybody, but how much different for them is it coming into a fall camp, having a full spring, and obviously getting ready for those guys in Tuscaloosa?
Well, you covered a lot of ground right there with that question. We had a lot of, honestly, when you play 8 games and nobody loses eligibility, we had a bunch of freshmen last year play a ton and play well. I felt like, new staff coming in, I was hired in December of 2019. We're trying to establish our culture. We're here to get it right. Our job is coming here and figure out, how to win. And, so COVID hit after 3 days of spring. And so we had to send the guys home. We got back in the fall, played 3 games, trying to catch back up a little bit. And then in the spring, we got better. We had a successful spring and had a winning season in the spring. And a lot of kids that play were young guys, man. So to get in here now and you're trying to see how does that affect what you do in the fall when they just played 8 games in the spring? Does it change anything about what you do? In that August camp, not having as much time in between seasons. And honestly, we worked them hard in the off season this summer. We had a good 8-week cycle with them. And we practiced. We came out here and practiced in August, and there were a few more NCAA rules this year as far as you had to have a certain number of helmet only. There was a few extra there. But we practiced. And so I'm gonna be honest with you, we haven't changed a lot. The kids have come in and practiced hard and, got a game under our belt and, it's still hot down here in Macon, Georgia. So, we battle that on a daily basis. But we really hadn't changed. If anything, it's been better because we had a chance to be harder on them. Last year, especially in the spring, you always know how it goes in the spring. You're thin in the spring anyway when you're having spring practice. So when you're trying to play 8-game season, so we had to be a little more careful in the spring. We've kind of maybe gotten away from that a little bit and got back to normal as well from a practice standpoint. So kids have done a good job.
And again, you opened up with a 69-point victory in game number 1. I would imagine to come out and finally play the opener. That's how you want to start. Obviously, 69-0 offensively, defensively. Did you have a whole lot of critiques after that ball game for you?
Yeah, you're always, our whole goal is to worry about us, okay, and let's don't worry about so much who we're playing, but let's go be the best we can be. So there were so many things. You should get so much better between your first game and your second game. Now, it may not appear that way, because of the wide range, the spectrum of what we play, who we're playing against the first weekend, and then obviously what we're getting ready to play this weekend. But you're trying to find ways to improve and play at the highest level your team is capable of playing at. So we did some good things last week. It was good to play a game, good to get, play against somebody in opposite color jersey instead of each other. But we're going to be tested in a way this weekend, where any little mistake just gets magnified. So that'll be good for us. That'll be good for us to improve on.
And Coach, I read something that said you said the glue is starting to dry when it comes to these players. What exactly did you mean by that?
I'm a big believer in culture winning, okay, and the way you do things on a daily basis. And I've been at the small college level, as a head coach for the most part, and we've had success because we've been hard on kids. We've held them accountable, but our players know that we love them. Okay, we want to treat our players, and I try to hire people on my staff that, listen, I want you to treat them like you would your own child. I'm hard on I got 3 boys, I'm hard on, but they know I love them. And when you get in here and kids know you love them and you care about them, you're trying to put them in good situations, they go play hard for you. And then they learn to love each other. And that's what's really important in our culture. You'll probably see behind me what our 3 core values are in our program is love, compete, and believe. We want to understand how to love each other, and that's modeled by our coaches. I love my coaches, love my coaching staff. Doesn't mean we agree all the time, but I love coming to work every day. And we're a family deal. I want wife and kids running around the offices. I want our players to see that. But I also want a bunch of kids who are going to compete their tail off. Now, I don't care if it's 2 a.m. in the parking lot. I want a bunch of kids who want to go out and play somebody better than them and figure out a way to get it done and not run from challenges. And then, believe for me is I've seen it in several instances where we took over a Division II program at Lenore Ryan a couple years ago that had been 3-7 and 3-8, and we won 12 games the first year. The same kids, but they just started believing in each other and believing in what we were doing. And that's when we talk about culture, those are the things we're talking about. Now, we obviously need talent. We need to recruit talent to come in here to help us be successful. But a bunch of kids that love each other and compete their tail off and believe in what we're doing, that team is going to be the best it can be. And so we're learning those things. I saw that in the spring. Early in the spring, we didn't believe in ourselves. And I told our kids early on, look, I'm going to tell you that you can be good until you believe me. All right. Until you start really believing me. And we won games in the fourth quarter and we got better. And, you could see those things happening, which was a blessing and a privilege to be a part of. So I like our players. The right ones have left. Okay. There's been a few that have found an exit ramp. Sometimes you have a little addition by subtraction. And the ones that have stayed with us have bought into what we're doing. And we've been able to sign some kids that believe what we believe. So that's what I mean. That culture, we're not there yet. Okay. But that glue's starting to dry and we're starting to really understand those concepts. And that's really a blessing as a coach to see kids start to figure that out. I like our players. I like our football team.
Drew Cronic joining us here on 3 and Out. And Coach, we're up and down the coast of Georgia. You guys have recruited this area very well. Going through your roster, they're all over the place. Speak to the guys that you have on your team that from up and down the coast, Southeast Georgia, that are really making a big impact for you guys.
Yeah, obviously we're going to recruit the state of Georgia pretty hard. I really believe that the state of Georgia is one of the finest high school football states, in the country. And we're right smack dab in the middle of the state of Georgia. And honestly, my father was a high school coach in Georgia for over 30 years. So this is how I grew up. I'm back in my home state and excited about that. And but we're going to hit Florida. Okay, we're going to hit Florida. There's a lot of great athletes down there. And, we're going to get into Alabama some. We're going to get into South Carolina and North Carolina and Tennessee and really try to hit the Southeast. Now, this is a high academic school, so you've got to find the kids that can be successful academically here, so that eliminates some guys, so you can't just have a small area. You got to spread out a little bit. But, I look up and down our roster and I don't know about, trying to name specific kids, but yeah, they're a bunch of Georgia kids, but there's also some kids from Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina. We've been able to really hit those areas. It's been unusual recruiting as it has been for everybody, just because, we were in a dead period almost the entire time since I took over the program. The last time I've been in a high school, was January of 20. Okay, that's been a year and a half. Then we had the pandemic, we had the dead period, and so it was really nice in June to finally have kids be able to come on our campus. We had our camps, and it's a whole lot easier to recruit when somebody can come look at it and touch it and feel it a little bit and see what you're really all about, look you in the eye and shake your hand. So that's been good this summer. So it'll be a real blessing this fall as we get our opportunities to get our evaluations and get out on the road. It'll be nice to get in the high schools again and continue to build those relationships and see people face to face. So we're looking forward to that this fall, obviously.
Coach, you said earlier you want to play somebody that's better than you and find a way to get it done. Well, Alabama's about as good as it's going to be as far as like a barometer. But talk about that, not just playing them, but I know you guys are a total different team at home than you are away. Just how much do you learn from playing against a team like Alabama, and how much is just competing well on the road is going to be big for you guys this year?
I think that's you make a great point. You know, we played very well at home in the spring. We're undefeated in the spring, and we've got, for whatever reason, we got to learn to focus better, okay, on the road, and we're always looking for ways to try to make the road trip as much like, home as possible, where we can focus. And but I've had teams that won better on the road. Some of it's just the makeup of your team and just learning how to do those things. And but now when you go play Alabama, okay, that's the best college football team in the country. That's a fact. And so every mistake you make gets amplified so much, because you can do all the right things, and they just got a dude, that's going to be playing on Sunday, and he's going to whip you. But still, believing that taking the right step and shooting your hands in the right place, and being in the right gap and running the right depth on right and using your fundamentals gives us the best opportunity to have some success this Saturday. So you're either going to do that or you're going to get beat up bad. So we have to do that. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to go learn and get something on film where when we come back here, we go, look, you did a good job on this and you held your own. Okay. Hey, you didn't use the fundamental on this one, and look what happens to you against great competition, because we want to win a national championship at the FCS level. That's our goal here. And so we're going to play against some really good players at this level, and it might not be 11 of them like Alabama have, okay, at the same time, but there's going to be a couple out there, when you play teams in the playoffs and all that. And if you don't use good fundamentals, you don't compete the right way, and you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not going to have success. So this is a great opportunity for us to go play against really, really great players and compete and try to win some battles. And let's gain 4 here. Let's get a first down. Let's get down in the red zone, find a way to punch it in, and defensively, let's get off the field. Let's get off the field some on third down. Okay. Put them in some, get a lost yardage play, do the fundamentals right. And you'd be surprised what you can accomplish when you do things the right way.
Drew Cronic joining us here, head football coach at Mercer. You mentioned Alabama. What's been kind of the tenor of your team kind of this week? I know when teams say, we're playing Alabama, you get fired up. Obviously, it's a step up for you guys. Is it still kind of that same atmosphere amongst your team? Like, hey, we get a chance to go show what we can do against Alabama.
Yeah, our kids are excited. Okay. It's an opportunity to show that you belong on that field. That it's an opportunity to play in front of 100,000 people. What a great opportunity that we have. And our kids understand that. And I believe our kids will go play their daggum guts out. I really do. And if you'll do that, you never know. I mean, you just go play, man. Just go play and play as hard as you can with a great attitude and play for each other, and do the little things right and give yourself the best chance to be successful. And I think our kids are excited about that, and I believe they'll do that.
And Coach, obviously you have I was just going to say what we got here, Kevin. I mean, Coach, you come from a coaching family doing what you do. What have you learned about yourself in this pandemic? Obviously, you coaches, y'all love football in a different way than players do. But what has Coach Cronic learned about himself in this crazy time, going through this pandemic?
We've had to be more creative. I think, when the kids left after 3 days of spring practice, we had to find other ways, to teach, to get on. I mean, and the Zoom meeting, man, became a really popular deal, and how to get creative with that and still build leadership and have team devotions and try to build the relationships with your players. So I think there's some things that we learned, even in recruiting, from virtual visits and all those kind of things, where you had to get more creative. And you're still going to use some of those things that you picked up, to continue to try to do a better job, recruiting and teaching, but I think also, hopefully for me personally, hopefully it helped me learn how to love kids better, because it wasn't just the pandemic last year. There were so many things, the social issues, okay, and all the stuff these kids were dealing with. It was just raining down on top of them, all this stuff. And there's so many voices out there, and it's confusing sometimes, especially when you're a young person, about, what do I need to be listening to? What voices, are important for me? Who is tearing me down, and who's being uplifting to me? That's hard when you're going through all that stuff. So, hopefully, And listen, I think I learned, it helped me to be a better listener, hopefully, and to listen to, especially with our African-American kids, some of the things that go on, and you want to see those things change. You want to support people. You want everybody to have the same opportunities. You want everybody to be loved. You want everybody to feel protected. And so hopefully, it made me more sensitive as a mentor to a lot of the things these guys are dealing with. And really try to, I want our players to know that I love them. Okay. And I think they do. And now I'm hard on them. Like I said, but that's part of it, man. That's part of loving your kids, is holding them accountable and making sure they're doing the right things. And, so there was a lot of challenges to that, but in some ways you could argue with our program, especially us being a new staff, it brought us closer together in some ways. So the kids fought the good fight through all that stuff. I mean, we didn't have a single kid. We played 11 games last year, 3 in the fall, 8 in the spring. We didn't have a single kid miss a game due to COVID. That's the Lord blessing us right there. I mean, that is a miracle. Okay. It's a lot of people doing a great job, and being conscientious about keeping themselves safe, but we didn't have so that tells me you had buy-in, that kids wanted to play ball. And listen, by the time you have 2 seasons in 1 year, you're weary. Okay. You're mentally fatigued. And I told our kids with about 2 games to go in the spring, listen, guys, I know that you're mentally fatigued. I kept counting down. Give me 16 more days. Give me 15 more days of everything you have. Because at some point, the work you put in right now, you're going to get blessed because you did it. And our kids did that. And I'm very appreciative of that. So I'm very happy for them that we're in a little bit more normalcy, where they can enjoy it a little bit more. And they can reap the rewards of the work they put in last year, and the guys that just stuck with it, which I'm so grateful for.
Drew Cronic, head football coach at Mercer, our guest here. Coach, really appreciate the time. Best of luck to you guys this weekend against Alabama. But again, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And you can catch Mercer and Alabama coming up this weekend on SEC Network. And we'll come back with more 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Awesome, Coach.